welcome to the Wild Review. I'm the Wild. What the hell is going on out there? Why am I looking in? Sorry about that. I don't know what that was, nor do I think I'll ever find the answer, because that's how life works for me. Something happens, and I don't get the answer to it. Happens a lot. Kind of used to it. So let's talk about something that has been bugging me for a while that I think is now an appropriate time to talk about it. It's been on TV for, I want to say, I guess a month by now, and I guess now is a good time, because it's been on the air for a while, to finally give my opinion on it. I'm simply talking about the new Dan Schneider show and new Nickelodeon show, Game Shakers. Don't even cut. Don't cut to the intro of the show. Let's put it this way, I don't like it. I honestly don't like it. And for the record, I have seen episodes of this show, and I gotta say, it's not Dan Schneider's best work. For those who don't know who Dan Schneider is, he's basically the guy that created Game Shakers, obviously, but he also created a whole bunch of cool other Nickelodeon classic shows such as Drake and Josh, iCarly, Victorious, Zoe 101, Sam and Cat, Henry Danger, and even somewhere along the line he works on shows such as All That, Kenan and Kel, and The Amanda Show. Apparently he had to do something with What I Like About You, at least that's what the Wikipedia page of him says, but I'm not 100% sure about that. But Dan Schneider is known for being somewhat of a Nickelodeon icon, seeing that he's had so many successful shows, or at least he's trying to have some successful shows. Sam and Cat wasn't necessarily very successful, but Drake and Josh obviously was a success. It's even a classic. Zoe 101, I don't really know much about Zoe 101, to be honest. I never really watched it as a kid, but I hear it was good. I found it a bit too drama-y, and so I didn't watch it. iCarly was a big success. Victorious was a really big success, and even Henry Danger is a pretty big success. I like Henry Danger. And though it's not the typical superhero show that has like the main antagonist trying to kill Captain Man or whatever, even though they're missing that one element of a main villain that keeps coming back, making the episodes epic, it's still pretty funny. At least, it's not just funny, but it's pretty unique in a way. Dan Schneider shows, if you know Dan Schneider, it's the same typical comedy. It's absolutely weird. But he's pretty original in a way, and I'll talk about that in a few minutes, but let's focus on his main show, Game Shakers, right now, and why I really don't like it. First off, let me say that it has absolutely nothing to do with the main cast. Sometimes when people give their review on shows, they talk about how the main cast is set up, like who was picked to play this role. That's usually how it starts off, but it can also start off with the characters. The actors and actresses playing these characters and the characters are two different people. It's like cake. The actors are the main cake and the characters are the frosting. That is a really bad comparison. Bottom line, the main cast members of the show, I find adorable. I honestly do. And it's only because, because the main characters of the show, the two girls, I feel like have grown up with Nickelodeon in some way, and I can kind of see it in their eye that I guess they can't believe they're on Nickelodeon. Kel Mitchell has obviously been on Nickelodeon before. He was on All That, and he was in Good Burger, the movie, and he had his own show, Keenan and Kel, so he obviously knows how to be on TV. And what's the kid's name? Benjamin Flores Jr. That's his name. He plays Triple G on the show. He's obviously he was in The Haunted Hathaway, so he knows what it's like to be on the show. Thomas Crew, Madison Shipman, and Cree, I don't know how to say your last name, but you play Babe. You know, I've never seen them on TV before, so this is probably like a dream for them to be on Nickelodeon. So I find it absolutely adorable that these kids at very young age are I guess living their dream on a channel so big, but has turned into crap over time. The characters, however, they portray are not as wise, nor are they that funny. The show itself isn't funny. In fact, the show is iCarly. Literally, the pilot was iCarly. All of it together says iCarly, and it just, something about this show just bugs me. Something about what Dan Schneider does in this show in particular, and what kind of already has been done, is pissing me off. But let's talk about the characters. Babe is the 12-year-old girl who is the one with bangs, I guess. I don't know why her name's Babe. That's what you call your girlfriend, Babe. She's obviously single, but she's the one with, like, the street smarts, I guess. And, you know, she's all, like, tough. At least she acts tough. And she's like a mini Sam. And Kenzie is her best friend, who's like the nerd, and she kind of represents Carly in a way, cause yeah. And Triple G, he's just there because, you know, the promos made him look like that he was you know, an all-time gamer, but he's like this famous little kid, and you know, he just go around being like, yeah, I'm Triple G, yeah. I love the kid, Benjamin Flores Jr. I think he's very talented. I really liked him in The Haunted Hathaways. His character really doesn't bother me that much. I like him on the trampoline, though. That's like the only thing I like about the pilot. This Hudson kid, not Hunter, Hudson is the typical dumb kid, you know, that you have to have in the show. I would say he represents Freddy, being friends with Babe and Kenzie, but he's not Freddy. He's just the typical dumb kid who does weird things that nobody wants to be around. He's like Jasper on Henry Danger. And Double G, of course, is like the adult, the immature adult, which is nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with being an immature adult. But he's a famous rapper, and I don't know why for some reason rappers are the big thing now. Because rap is terrible. In fact, Kel Mitchell, I don't even think raps. I don't know what he does. He might rap, I don't know. But I don't really like the way the characters are set up. But there's a bigger thing why this show bothers me. This is the main theme of like iCarly, and especially in Game Shakers. They added it a little more in Game Shakers. It was kind of the same issue in iCarly. Henry Danger really doesn't fall into this. Victorious doesn't fall into this. And Drake and Josh never fell into this. They might have done it once, but I don't know for sure. And as for Zoe 101, we're not involving them. Because, again, I've never seen the show. I'd like to say Sam and Cat also fell into this, but in a way they kind of didn't. But what pisses me off about this show is that everything these two girls do is genius. I phrased that wrong. Everything these two girls do in the show, if you don't know the show, I should have mentioned the plot. It's about these two young girls who make a video game for a school project, and it becomes the #1 in the App Store, and they start their own company by making games. And along the way they get a rapper funding them, and their friends. It's a show about friendship as well. What pisses me off about this show is that, especially with Dan Schneider shows, is no matter what, the main characters are going to win. Which is annoying, because you need to mix it up a little. You have to have the main characters lose. An episode like iCarly, like I Go to Japan, they automatically won because they were so hilarious being caught on camera, you know? There could have been somebody else who was maybe funny. You know, the cooking show, where they face that guy making spaghetti tacos. They win. And this guy never loses, but they, of course, win. They win a lot of things, and it's the same thing with Game Shakers. These girls are never going to lose. They make one game that gets put out there, and it's suddenly the number one game. That doesn't make... It is possible because a lot of games have done that. You'd be amazed what gets popular and viral very fast, but, you know, honestly, Skywhale, I've never played it, but it doesn't look fun. I don't know. I don't find it entertaining, and I've never played it, but just by looking at it, it doesn't look fun. Maybe it is. Maybe I have to play it, but it doesn't look interesting. It doesn't look like something I would play. The fact that this show is... I have saliva in my mouth. The fact that Game Shakers is following in iCarly's path or in its footsteps, I think that's pretty bad. You need to make it a little different. You know, it's not always going to be happily ever after like a normal Disney film, which I'm waiting for a Disney film to end not happily ever after. It's the same thing with these kind of shows. The main characters will always win, and that is not acceptable. You need to have them fail at some point. You know, and sure, yeah, these girls are cute, and they're 12 years old, so they have a reason to always win, you know, because that's gets a girl's spirits up. But, I mean... No! I don't like Game Shakers. Alright? Let's put it out there. I don't like it. I don't like the show. I don't find it funny. It's not one of Dan Schneider's greatest works. It's a typical remake of iCarly in a way, if you want to put it like that. It's got all the stereotypes that a Dan Schneider show would have. No, I don't like it. I specifically remember seeing an episode that still kind of haunts me. It's the episode with the robot. You know? The robot came, the white robot, I don't remember the name of the robot, but it was the white robot. He made friends with Hudson and was trying to kill Triple G. That's entertaining for a children's show? It kind of is. It'd be a little humorous, but I mean, like, at the end, the robot dies, you know, because he gets thrown off the building, and then Double G is like, yeah, I showed it, because he was afraid of robots in this episode. And all the main characters like, why'd you do that? He's like, all right, let's go get something to eat. They're like, okay, and they just leave. So that's my big problem with Game Shakers. It just pisses me off, the show. I mean, like, the fact that they're always winning, that's what... No, you gotta change it up, Dan Schneider. No. So, yeah, bad show. I don't like it. I don't find it very funny. What also pisses me off is the laugh track and the clapping track of... Television has just died. That's what it has. These kid shows, they've died. They're clapping for weird reasons now. It's like, yeah, he's a robot. Yeah! Laugh. The robot looked funny. So, and you can tell it's a laugh track because nobody films in front of an audience anymore. They all sound the same. Okay, so let's not talk about Game Shakers anymore because I don't want to talk about it anymore. Let me just do a little quick thing of what I like about Dan Schneider, because besides what I just said, Dan Schneider is a pretty interesting and funny writer. He can make he's made some awesome shows in the past, and Henry Danger's even pretty good, like I said. But there are just some very special techniques and things that just scream out it's a Dan Schneider show. Aside from what I've said about Game Shakers. For one thing, they don't have Apple in Dan Schneider's world. We're going to consider it Schneider's world. Let's call it that. They don't have Apple in Schneider's world. They have, instead of Apple, they have Pears. And that's how you know that all shows are connected, which I guess I should have made number one. All Dan Schneider shows are connected because they live in the same universe. Sometimes characters from other shows would make an appearance, which is pretty awesome because I love hearing conspiracies about, like, these shows are in the same world, and in the fact that Dan Schneider's world is all just one big one world. I think that's pretty awesome, so props to him on doing that. I plan on doing that one day if I make shows, putting it all in the same universe. But they don't have Apple. They have different phones called Pears, which actually aren't... You'd think it'd be like a normal rectangle or maybe even a circle. They actually form them in pairs, which is pretty funny. The computers aren't like that, at least I don't think they are, but the phones are, which is pretty unique. What's also unique is that every character is weird. I know I went over the characteristics in Game Shakers, but every character is basically like that. You always have a tough one, or, you have a dumb one. It's basically the unexpected of this character. Like also in Game Shakers, which I'll bring back, Double G's bodyguards, they're kind of weird, but funny at the same time. I'll admit that the bodyguards are funny in that show. But it's just very interesting how the characters live and stuff. That's really all I can think of Dan Schneider. He just has an interesting world, and though Game Shakers might not be his best work, I personally think that, everything else he's created is genius. I wasn't that big of a fan of Sam and Cat, honestly. And I haven't seen Zoe 101, like I've said, but I personally think Dan Schneider is a good writer. He has created some really great shows. Game Shakers is not one of them, however. So, I like Henry Danger, though. I've said that multiple times. So, that's what I think of the new Nickelodeon show, Game Shakers. I really don't like it. And that's also what I think about Dan Schneider in total. But enough my blabbery mouth. I want to hear from you people now. What is your favorite show that Dan Schneider has been behind of? Was it like Drake and Josh or iCarly or Victorious? Which one do you like and which one do you not like? And if you don't have one that you don't like, then don't put one you don't like. Just put the one that you like. Do you agree or disagree with anything I said in this video, specifically involving Game Shakers? Tell me in the comments, and also leave me your suggestions for whatever movie, TV show, or random thing you want me to talk about next. Thanks for watching The Wild Review. I'm The Wild Reviewer, and you just saw me review 2 things.